From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LALATE with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022 with America's most watched show in America for financial news. And today's recording for April 11th, 2022. We'll be going over the big checks that have landed and have you got to them, and we'll go over all those incredible checks in this recording. A $6,500 stimulus check, a $15,000 to $80,000 stimulus check, and an MSC check which has landed. We'll go over all that over this 1 hour special report broadcast. Because guess what? Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh stimulus will all be covered in today's Afternoons LALATE broadcast. We'll be looking at a series of major economic developing details that you need to know. First, we'll be looking at the Build Back Better Act and why it's likely to get done in view of the latest economic data that came in today. Then we'll be looking at the Federal Reserve, new economic data coming out of China that indicates where consumer confidence may be and whether the Federal Reserve is coming in too strong that could impact your SS300. We'll be looking at those big checks the viewers are getting that are clean up upwards of about $100,000. That will heat up thereafter. Then we'll be looking at six stimulus to battle recession. What happened with Macron overnight, the French president? Did he get reelected? Because he's part of the trifecta to get six stimulus out the door. And then meantime, what's happening with that PPI and CPI this week and what happened with the number out of China. Then we'll be looking at the changing developing details on that oil front today. Prices of oil dropping dramatically internationally, but why is that? Is it because of the strategic reserves released domestically, or is it because of a major new deal released just minutes ago? All the latest details on that great news. Then U.S. commodities, international commodities, wheat, grain, corn, surging out of control. Where is that number likely to go? All the latest details on that front, breaking news as well. And then we'll be turning back to that student loan debt forgiveness, 7 stimulus. Huge details with a May 2nd deadline just in front of us. Third stimulus, fourth stimulus, fifth stimulus, sixth stimulus, and seventh stimulus, all heating up this 1 hour broadcast. Sit back and relax and get a pen and paper ready because you're going to have a lot of major breaking news today. For April 11th, 2022, from the shores of Santa Monica, California, don't wave at the check can't wave back. He has too much notes to take care of. He's taking a lot of notes, so he has no free hands. Get your hands ready and free because we have a lot coming up in this 1 hour broadcast. Stay in tune, stay informed, get ready to take notes, and get ready to get these big checks across the land. Stay with me throughout this 1 hour broadcast, which starts right now. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day for April 11th, 2022. This is Afternoons LA from the shores of Santa Monica, California with major breaking news. We're going to go over a lot over this 1 hour broadcast. I get a preview of tonight's evening's LA in prime time. That's America's most watched show for financial news at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I hope to see you in that recording today. We're going to go over those big checks, huge checks. The viewers have gotten that A check, that B check, and that C check. $6,500 stimulus check landed. $15,000 to $80,000 stimulus check landed. MSC checks of $24,000 landed. We'll go over all those big checks across this 1 hour big broadcast for Afternoons LA. Then we have a lot of other things to go over. We're going to go over Build Back Better Act. Start with that. Major developing details on that front as a new analyst believes that we are in a war session. I'll explain what's going on with that. The Federal Reserve to deal with inflation, raising interest rates, but the 10-year Treasury note surging out of control today. And then we have new details about consumer confidence and new data about Beijing. This is a potential lockdown that could curb world growth internationally. Huge details as well. Then we'll be looking back at that big money that you can get with those 3 checks. Then off to 6 stimulus. And we have the latest details as Macron was not reelected convincingly overnight. He's now in a runoff. This is the trifecta of the progressiveness of France, Germany, and the United States. Then we have that PPI, CPI number and the potential lockdown in China because of COVID. What that means for 6 stimulus. Then we look forward to the confusing details about oil. We thought that the president's release of the strategic reserves was not going to work, but there was something else that did work over the weekend. A major breaking developing detail that's bringing down the price of Brent crude and the price of gasoline at your pump, the lowest levels since we've seen of day one of the invasion of Ukraine. Great news. What's going on that price of gasoline that you're going to see at the pump in just a few days. Then we have the commodity markets. Wow, great news about that. No, commodities surging higher, and we're not even done with the surge. It could go even higher across the board. Then we'll have a look at what's happening with that Russian default, and then over to crypto. As crypto really takes a big hammering today, as now Bitcoin is back down below $41,000 a coin, a 5% drop, big details across the board. It's a big day, and we have a lot to go over and a lot of checks, so get your pen and paper ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. Don't wave at the check. He's not going to wave back, unless, at least if you're wearing those lobster shorts, he'll just turn away. Let's get to the incredible details first with the Build Back Better Act. The Build Back Better Act is the fourth stimulus recon currently in the Senate that has 3 clusters of checks and 3 add-ons, and it also has some big news today. Wow. Let's go over those checks first and get a preview of what is at issue in tonight's evening's LALATE, and then we'll go over the breaking news across the board. All right. The Build Back Better Act, 3 clusters, 3 add-ons of checks. Let's look at the incredible details in there. A little bit less than $25,000, a little bit less than $250 billion. What are all these great add-ons? Well, they total to about $15,000 of checks to $80,000 of checks for you. In the Build Back Better Act, the fourth stimulus recon currently sitting in the Senate. Many indications suggest that there may be a vote as early as this month. It's huge. In that first cluster, there's a lot of checks, hazard pay, and also $4,000 of elder care. $4,000 of care for young children, $3,600 checks for the CTC, 1 more year, $550 check for the Pell Grant. Oh, wow. And then a $12,500 check for an electric vehicle, plus money to repair your home. Wow, that is great. That is in that first cluster. How to get these checks? You tune in tonight to Evening's LALATE at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We're going to go over each of these checks at that time. A little bit less than $25,000 is that first cluster for free home health, for free repair, for free purchase of your first home. What, did I mess that up? I did sort of mess that up. $25,000 towards the purchase of your first home. It's huge. Again, it's free money. It's going to the seller in your name from the federal government at the time of purchase of that first home. How do you get that money? Tune in tonight on Evening's LALATE at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We'll go over each of these checks in incredible detail then. Second cluster checks paid leave, $4,000 to $6,000 a year if you have to stay home from work due to sickness or illness. And then the home repairs. Wow, hold up there. Hold up. Put your pens up and just look up for a second. It's now law. Yes, President Joe Biden took that home repairs to weatherize your home in cluster number 2 in the Build Back Better bill currently in the Senate and made it law. He made it law just a few days ago, and it is the second of 2 big checks. That is check A of our ABC checks. That is now law. So you don't have to ask, when is the vote? When is the this? When is the that? No, it's law. When are you getting the money is all I have to ask. So that is check A. Oh, boy, and viewers have gotten it. Check B, he also took out a Build Back Better Act. When is the vote? Don't need a vote. It's law. President made it law. The incredible details coming up in just a second. We'll go over A, B, and C's checks in just a second. Let's go back into that second cluster. So that second cluster, home repairs and paid leave. Wow, the paid leave, a lot of money. Then they got a little bit less than $250 billion for free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Great news across the board. Next, when we go to that third cluster, seniors and free internet for all checks, farmers checks, independent contractors checks, and then lots of checks for seniors. Wow, they doing really well in this Build Back Better Act. Hearing checks, vision checks, lowering the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to 55 checks, dental checks, Medicaid gap fix that provide a workaround plan to provide insurance to uninsured people in those 12 Republican holdout states, which is par for the course, folks, when senators are adding checks to this recon. The other checks that they went add in there are MSC, baby, MSC, monthly IRS stimulus checks. This is for stimulus recon. Who would get it? You would get it if you got a third stimulus check. So the eligibility is the same. Single individual, $75,000 less, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you get it. Family of 4, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, you get it as well. It's not income, it's not taxable. And to learn more about it, tune in tonight on Evenings LATE in prime time. But here's what you need to know, is that the MSC that they propose in the fourth stimulus recon would pay you at most about $7,000. $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter is what they represent. Let's say that again. At most $7,000 over 6 months. $7,000 versus $45,000. Which one would you prefer? I think you'd like $45,000, wouldn't you? $45,000 just sort of lasts a little bit longer than $7,000. And that, my friends, is the MSC Check C. It's law. And that is why we focus on the big checks, not the smaller checks. And you can get it. Check C. Viewers have got to $2,000 a month after over 12 months in recent days, and that's on top of the about $45,000 they got before. Viewers are clocking some of them at over $150,000. So these checks, A, B, and C, are now law. What happened? A $6,500 check to weatherize your home is now law. How do you get it? Coming up in later this video. A $15,000 to $80,000 check is now law. Stimulus check B, it's now law. Made law on March 4th. And a $24,000 MSC check, now law. Let's get it clear. Let's get it straight. No love and support, no love and tough love, whatever you want to call it. If you say, what day is the IRS MSC checking voted on? I just want to take my lobster shorts and turn them in reverse and say, nah. You're just not focusing. $7,000 versus $24,000. $24,000. You don't want the $24,000? I will take it. You want $7,000 instead of $24,000? I will take it. You don't want the $45,000 instead of $7,000? I will take it, and then I'll give it back to the rest of the viewers. You don't want 12 months of checks and exchange for 6 months of checks? I will take it and give it back to the viewers. You got to focus. You got to focus. We see each other, except when you're wearing the lobster shorts. I'm looking away. So how do you get these big checks? They're coming up in a second. Now, I told you I had big breaking news about Build Back Better Act. Oh, boy. How much news do I have on set today? Oh, my goodness. I can't breathe. How much do I have to bring to you today? Look at that. Oh, my God. That's just today. So there's a lot of breaking news, and that is why you tune into this channel. Otherwise, for me to do bicep curls with my notes. So let's look at the Build Back Better Act. Breaking news today for April 11, 2022. War session. Chief veteran investment strategist David Roach says today that the markets are underestimating the current environment. I will co-sign that one. And he says that we're likely entering a war session. Now, this is really fascinating news, folks. I've been telling you for over 3 months that two parts of this economy, two industries, which are auto and home, are currently in recession. And then the rest of the U.S. economy will be in recession within the end of the year for 2 years, 2023 and 2024. He says something really fascinating, which I've never seen before. Roche, which is president of Independent Strategy. He says that this is like anything that you've seen before. Why? Because in a normal recession, you have inflation going down, and you also have costs going down. He says everything is going to be going up. He says that inflation will be still going up and costs will be still going up. Wow, that is huge. Well, more about that tonight on Evenings LATE. Here's what you need to know is that when we look at the Build Back Better news and we look at the SS300 news, they overlap. Let's look at what's going on with that SS300 right now, and then we'll go over the news on that front. Joe Biden, when running for president of the United States, promised to swap your benefits out for COLA to inflation with a new benchmark. Inflation instead of COLA. That would raise your benefits up $200 more per month right now. At 8% inflation, and then not just this month, not just this year, but a lifetime. Wow. But there's another part of the equation. It's this guy. His name is Jay Powell. He's head of the Federal Reserve. His job is to bring down inflation. How? By raising interest rates. The Fed walk, the Fed talk, the Fed speak, the Fed watch has been very difficult over the last 30 days, if you've seen every day on this channel. Jay Powell's changed a lot in just 30 days. He said a quarter basis point increase on interest rates for one or consecutive meetings of the FOMC meeting, which is the Federal Reserve once a month, would do it. Then a few days later said it wouldn't do it. We need 1/2 basis point. Okay, Jay, I'll give you that. Then he said maybe you need a few meetings of a 1/2 basis point. Excuse me, Jay. Then he said I'm trying to get down inflation from 4% down to 4, not 4% later this year, but 1.9%. Excuse me, Jay. What are we doing here, Jay? You changing by the minute, by the hour. And then we had Boulard and Daly and all these Fed governors under Jay Powell saying let's do 1/2 basis point 1,000 times in a row. I'm being facetious, but let's take the takeaway right now. They're going to destroy the economy. They have absolutely no idea what they're doing. They are absolutely out to left field. Why? Because a lot of analysts now are saying the same thing I'm saying. The job of Jay Powell is to reduce inflation. How? By raising interest rates? Ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna work. Every single day I go on camera with you, I have more new analysts that are repeating what I've been saying for a month. It's not going to work because inflation is not being tied into interest rates. It's being tied into supply chain. What is supply chain? You can't get the sofa out of the factory in China to the port to land in the Los Angeles Harbor port to be delivered to Kansas on time. That's what supply chain is. And if you can't get the sofa on time, suddenly the price of sofa goes up 50%. That's supply chain. Raising interest rates doesn't solve the situation. And what is the breaking news on today on that? Beijing, a major city, has tightened COVID restrictions for another time, and this at issues the southern city of, excuse me if I mispronounce this, the southern city of Guangzhou, that is now shifted to major types of new lockdowns. Now, the entire country of China is not on lockdown, but I got to tell you this. I've been really good at predicting things in the future for you. The lockdown potentially of most of China would be the major economic story of the second quarter of 2022. Because if that happens, folks, we are going right back to 2020 economic environments. Let me tell you what's going on. Consumer confidence determined by Morgan Stanley in China fell 31%. The Chinese people think that they are not going to be able to make their debt or their rent. And this is the lowest consumer confidence in China, get ready for this, since March of 2020. There we go. It's going a complete reversion. What is happening? In the United States, the 10-year Treasury new yields topping 2.76% today. Ouch. It was 1.8 just a few weeks ago. And this is as the 5 and the 30-year rates remain inverted. Inversion means recession. And we have new economic data coming out this week. We have this consumer price index tomorrow on Tuesday. We have the producer price index number on Wednesday. There's no major economic data being released today out of the United States, but the Chinese data is horrible. And I got to tell you, what does this mean for Build Back Better Act? What does it mean for SS300? What it means the following is right now. Build Back Better Act is going to look at the economic data and the landscape across the board is that, with the exception of the unemployment numbers last Thursday, the complete landscape of the economic data reported on this channel every single day has been horrible. For now 2 weeks, miss after miss after miss. What is a miss? If we're looking at, let's say, the growth rate of the U.S. economy, and we're looking at 7.1%, which is what we were a week ago, and coming at 6.9%, it's a miss. It didn't meet the number. It did not meet the number. That is one of many numbers that have been consistent misses throughout the economic landscape of economic data on the United States front in the last 7 days. This is good news for Build Back Better Act because the U.S. economy is stalling. The U.S. economy is stalling. We are in recession with 2 industries, and we're going into more. That's why you need stimulus. Now, the only part of the U.S. economy that's not stalling is the unemployment numbers, which were absolutely major beats on Thursday. 166,000 new unemployment claims since the week before, the lowest number since the 1960s. Then, the number of continuing unemployment claims, that was the lowest number we've seen since the history of this channel, dropping from 18 million last year this week to less than 2 million. It's huge improvement across the board. When we look at SS300, same situation, is that Joe Biden needs to make that swap from COVID to inflation right today. And while I always do this sort of prognosticator, saying, if he swaps in April, we're fine. If he swaps in May, we're a little bit worried. I'm going to focus more on the data today, which is that it's bad economic data. It's bad economic data on the economic front domestically and with the partner countries we deal with, and whether we call it recession or whether we call it waivable chips section or Mitchell or Crayola session. I don't know what we call it. It's bad economic data. And if it's bad economic data, the Federal Reserve is coming in too strong. That's a bad move. And then that's good news for your Build Back Better. In the second half of this video, we're going to go over those big checks. You ready? Now that I've scared the lobster shorts off of you, I think you now know the importance of getting these big checks, because the economic data is going from maybe good 2 months ago to very weak at the moment for April 11, 2022. Here are those big checks. A $6,500 check is landed. A $15,000 to $80,000 check is landed. An MSC check at $24,000 have landed. How do you get these big checks? They're coming up in the second half of this video. If you haven't become a member right today to get these incredible checks. Where do you become a member? The link's at the top of the chat and under the pinned comment. Become a member to the fastest growing membership community there is on the planet. The newsletter comes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. In the second half of this video, we have a lot coming up, folks. We're just getting started over this 1 hour broadcast. We'll be looking at that 6th stimulus package that is expected to go to a potential formation in April. But what happened with the latest data about the PPI, CPI out of China, and what does that mean about the Hong Kong situation and the impact on your money? Meanwhile, what happened with Macron overnight? Did he get reelected? He's part of that trifecta to get you that 6th stimulus package. Did he get reelected? Now, the latest details on that front. Then guess what we're looking at? We're looking at that oil. Yeah, that oil. The price of oil is dropping dramatically. That is good news. But is it caused by the White House, or is there a major deal that's been unearthed in the last 24 hours? It has. I have the great news on that front on the oil. Then we'll be looking at the commodities and then off to 7th stimulus. 7th stimulus, that student loan debt forgiveness, huge details. Where your debt could be forgiven by May 2nd. We're just getting started. Again, if you haven't become a member during the commercial break, because right after the commercial break, we're going to go over all those big checks that are featured in the membership newsletter. Become a member. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds, but first, here's a little bit about the members community page. As a big afternoon's LA heats up, we're just getting started. See you back in 60 seconds as a big afternoon's broadcast for April 11th, 2022 continues. See you back in 60 seconds from the shores of Santa Monica, California today. It's a beautiful day and the money is flowing. See you back in just a second as afternoons continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues in a big afternoon's broadcast for April 11th, 2022 from the shores of Santa Monica, California. We got a lot coming up in the second half of this video, folks. Of course, those big checks, huge checks. I'm going to show you how to get them. Then we'll be going over the other details you need to know on a big day across the board. We'll be looking at that 7th stimulus package, that student loan debt forgiveness, the 6th stimulus package, heating up in April. We'll be taking a look back at that 5th stimulus package. People always ask about that. And then we'll be looking more to what's going on with these recessionary concerns across the board. Plus, we'll have a preview tonight's evening's LA in prime time at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. It's a huge broadcast tonight, and we'll take a look at what's going on with crypto in today's environment as well. Let's go right into those big checks. 3 checks have now landed. Are you ready with your pen and paper? This is where you take notes in the recording. A $6,500 check has landed. It's called the Home Weatherizing Grant Check. It became law March 31st, 2022. It's a great stimulus check, and I'll show you how to get it in just a second. Then, an even better stimulus check of $15,000 to $80,000 called the Homeowners Grant Check became law March 4th, 2022. It's huge. I'm going to show you how to get it in just a second. And then an MSC check of $24,000 upwards of $150,000 became a law in 2021. These are MSC checks. These are not the quote measly checks of Build Back Better of $7,000 and 6 checks. These are on average 12 checks, and many viewers are getting over $150,000 from them. Let's go over each of these checks one at a time. You're ready? Here we go. Check A. It's a $6,500 check, well known in some states they're paying upwards of $12,000. It's a forced stimulus check made law by the President of the United States. He took it out of the Build Back Better Act. The bill in the Congress made it law by executive branch, and it's called the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check. Now, how do you get it? You become a member, but first let's go over a little bit more of the details of that check. First, the income qualification. Same as a stimulus check. Wow. Single individual, $75,000 less, that's your income qualification. And married couple, $150,000 less, you can get it. If you're on SSI or veterans or any benefits, you can get it if you qualify with that income level and you own a home. That's the last qualification. So how do you get this check? You become a member to this channel and get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, and then go right into that newsletter. The first, maybe the fourth line of the newsletter has in there that check. It features the details of the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check, and then gives you the link to go right into the website to apply. This is a website applying check. You go right into the website, and then it'll be the national website. You choose your state. And let's say you choose Alabama. And then you choose the Alabama Weatherizing Grant Check. And you click it, and you go right in and apply. Huge details. $6,500 check around the clock. Go get it. Don't worry about the terminology home. Don't worry whether it's mobile or not mobile home. Just get your application on file. And don't worry about the term weatherization. Just get it on file. Learn about it when you go to the application process. All right, let's go to that check B. Huge. Check B looks like A, but it's even better. It's a $15,000 to $80,000 stimulus check. It became a law by the President of the United States, taking out of the forced stimulus recon. Income qualification, same as a third stimulus check again. Single individual, $75,000 less. Married couple, $150,000 less. And yes, if you're a veteran and you own your own home, you can get this check. It's called the Homeowners Grant Check. And how do you get this one? You become a member, go right into that membership newsletter, and it's right under Check A. It'll send you to the national website. Then you'll look at a map, and you'll choose your state on the map, and it'll send you right into the state to apply. And then when you apply, you get it on file, and it'll say approved, and then the check starts coming. The rounding time of the check is about 1 week. Viewers are averaging about $65,000 or more. That's check A and B. A and B bear some resemblance, but C is quite different. If you're a renter, you can get check C. If you're a homeowner, you can get check A, B, and C. If you're on benefits and you qualify for the respective provision, then you can get anything from A to C. Who doesn't qualify for A to C? You make too much money. You make over $75,000 more per year. That is the only person that would not qualify for A, B, or C. All right, let's go to Incredible Check C. Check C is an MSC check. Average payout in recent days has been $2,000 a month for 12 months, which is about $24,000. But average over the last year, many viewers have averaged about $45,000, with a lot of viewers getting over $150,000. This became a law under third stimulus. Joe Biden has sent these checks out. They are for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and more. They're huge. Let's go over all these incredible checks of C right now. How do you get them? You're going to reach out to 6 places to get these big checks. And the 6 places are huge. You're ready to take notes? Let's look at the 6 places you're going to reach out to. Your city hall, your city housing authority. Your county hall, your county housing authority. Your state hall, and your state housing authority. That's 6, but hold up. If you're a member of this channel, you get another 5. Yes, they're featured in the membership newsletter, the nonprofits, bringing your number of places to reach out to nearly a 12 or more, dozen and a half. What are the keywords you're going to say? You're going to say rent assistance because of COVID. You don't say waivable check or lobster shorts or things they don't know like MSC. You say rent assistance because of COVID. Utility assistance because of COVID, mortgage assistance because of COVID. You don't have to be behind on your bills. Just get the application on file. Reach out to all 6 places. Well, if you're a member, you're going to reach out to all 12 plus places. That's the difference of being a member. Get multiple application file, get that money out as far as you can get it. And then what's important to understand is that get that membership newsletter, because I feature those nonprofits in there that do great stuff. Get those nonprofits to help you and pay some bills. And the average view of this channel is getting upwards of $45,000. Do it right today. Do not wait. Those big sums of money are available right today. The average payout has been about $45,000. And do it today. Do not wait. Why would you wait? This is your MSC, check C, for you to get. When you look at the situation on check C, I've been doing this, folks, now for a year and a half. This channel approaches its 2-year anniversary on April 25th, 2022. And I've been doing this for a long time, and the success stories are everywhere. I think that we have probably gotten over $10 million, somewhere between $10 to $30 million. I have to go over my notes for these MSC checks over the last year. Look at the numbers for rent. Here are numbers from $20,000 to $27,000. Let's look at the numbers for utilities. Let's look at the people who got combos, $35,000. Here's another person, Mark, who is at $50,000 now. He's at over $100,000. Here's Lorraine. She got $105,000 now. She's at over $120,000. We've been doing this for upwards of now a year and a half. There's no better place to get check C than here. These are huge sums of money. So how do you get these big checks? You want to become a member. Go right under the video or at the top of the chat or in the description and click the link. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Become a member today to get that incredible newsletter. It's delivered Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. The newsletter is delivered Monday through Friday, and that's 10 o'clock on the East Coast, 9 o'clock Central. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP, and then open that newsletter. And then pounce, Hawks. Pounce and get those big checks. A, B, and C. You don't want to wait, and you don't want to think into the future about checks that are smaller when these are the biggest checks we've had of a generation. Look at these astronomical checks. A lot of other breaking developing details today, folks, and they are 6 stimulus. 6 stimulus is that trifecta of Germany, France, and the United States to battle recession caused by Vladimir Putin by raising national debts and giving out stimulus packages. What's the latest details on that front today? Well, it's very, very unclear. Germany reverted course last week, saying it's not going to get off of Russian products. Was that just a talking point for a day or two? We don't know. Then when we turn to France, also very unclear, folks. If you saw LALATE live last night, I sent that message out to you, the breaking news alert. France's President Macron was not reelected last night. He now goes into a runoff with the right-wing candidate, and that runoff is late April. That is really surprising, and that is where 6 stimulus starts. But we're not done there yet. 6 stimulus has a lot of breaking news today for April 11, 2022. Among them are the PPI number and CPI number coming out of China. We got our numbers tomorrow and the day after. China misses. China misses on some fronts, but not on these fronts. Major beats. So China beat on the PPI 8.3%. They were looking at 7.9%. And the CPI 1.5% versus 1.2%. What does that mean? Inflation. These are not economically strong numbers. These are just showing you where the inflation is tracking. It means that analysts now underestimate how strong the inflation is. Now, why is the inflation strong? This is where it gets very important. Got to zone in and listen on this front. The inflation is going up higher in China and potentially in the United States, not because the economy is stronger, but because the supply chain disruption is getting worse. Remember what supply chain was? It was we're on lockdown. We came out of lockdown. No one was available to ship things during the lockdown. Now there was a backlog of orders. That was how we initially saw lockdown in the United States. Lockdown is now a lot more complicated. It involves the ports, it involves the shipping. And guess what? The only part of today's analysis that looks eerily easy to understand and familiar is China. China's going back on lockdown. China, because of surging new cases of the subvariant of Omicron, some parts of that country are going back on lockdown. And those are the parts that do manufacturing, that ship products back to us. And I think the most notable fact is that the big gap between CPI and PPI is that the producer price power among some companies in China is weak. And now they're taking the hit on the margin, says Ramesh Shalat, portfolio manager at Vonapol Asset Management. So what is my takeaway on this? Exactly what I said, which is that it looks like a recession. Costs are going up, supply chains causing inflation to go up, and consumer confidence going down, a growth going down. All those numbers, because normally in a recession, everything goes down. Why is it a war session? Because the war is disrupting supply chain. And this is as a lot of things continue to swirl out of control. Now, what was 16 was supposed to be for? Oil, wheat, commodities, and also Putin and China. Well, I always told you, 6 stimulus, we're trying to deal with the issue of supply chain in China. It's worse today. You need that 6 stimulus. It's worse today. And I got to tell you, my trajectory on China, it's going to get a lot worse. And I think that that subvariant of Omicron is going to spread internationally, and you're going to see lockdowns in other countries. More supply chain interruption. There you go. Now, on the oil front, we do have great news for April 11, 2022, which is, did you notice it? The price of a Brent crude dropped. That is the international price of Brent crude, the international price of oil. 120, 125, 130, 105. Where's it today? 98. Ooh, exciting. Exciting. Why did it drop 4.2%? And why did the West Texas, our price of gasoline in the United States, drop from 4.5 to 4.5% to 4.4%, or $93 a barrel? Why did that drop so dramatically? Because of a major deal. The White House actually got it done. The International Energy Agency said that its member countries would release 120 million barrels from their emergency stockpiles, of which 60 million barrels are coming from the United States. And this follows that the United States would say it would release 100 million barrels from its strategic reserves. This is a big developing details. So what's going on? I was so critical about this for 2 weeks. First, the President of the United States said it was going to release some of our strategic reserves. What is that? The gasoline the United States hasn't stored its strategic reserves. How much? 1 million barrels a day for 6 months. That was the 180 million barrels announced by the White House. I said it wasn't going to work because you have to have the partner allies release their oil. He said they're going to. I said they don't have enough oil. So what they did now is that another agency, the International Energy Agency, has stepped forward and said that its countries will release 100 million barrels, of which 60 million are from the United States, to bring us now additional barrels. So that's 120 plus 180. That's good. That's 300. Even if you're doing McConnell math, even if you're doing Cuddle math, that's 300 million barrels. That is good. That may work. I don't know yet. It's a better effort. We want Germany off of that Russian oil, but it's a better effort. The IEA previously predicted that 3 million barrels of Russian oil output per day was at risk. So this is very interesting. You'd have to run this math very quickly. It was basically saying 3 million barrels of Russian oil a day are at risk. Biden released 1 million barrels a day 2 weeks ago. Now we got another 120 million barrels, which looks like it looks like 500,000 barrels. So does it work? Well, let's do the quick math. It doesn't look like it works. It looks like it's 1.5 million, and we have 3 million barrels at risk with Vladimir Putin. So we're only halfway there. We need more oil. Some of the market tightness may be caused by the self-sanctions of Russian crude, either future sanctions, but it will not fix the oil market structural imbalance resulting from years of underinvestment at the time of global recovery demand. Wow. Now, here, let me explain to you why the number for the Brent crude is going down. This is only details you can see on this channel. China. If China goes on lockdown, then they're not driving cars. And if they're not driving cars, there's less demand for oil. That is the reason why the price of oil is dropping more dramatically today than that IEA deal, says a lot of analysts, and I so subscribe. So good news on that front, but how long is that going to stay with us, the good news? Meantime, the commodity market's part of the 6 stimulus. You can't afford a $7 loaf of bread, can you? You can't. And that the raw materials could surge another 40% on top of where they are right now, says JP Morgan Chase. The Warner's production has priced in certain items, but not everything across the board, says analysts. Wow. Very, very confusing situation across the board. Now, what's important to understand is that when you look at 7 stimulus, not so confusing. 7 stimulus is a student loan debt forgiveness, and that student loan debt forgiveness has an inherent date of May, early May. Why? Because the President Chief of Staff said he would make that determination, the President, by early May. The President has 3 choices on that student loan debt. Number 1, forgive it. Number 2, roll it over a few more days. Number 3, just do nothing. I think he's going to do forgive or roll it over a few more days. The comment comes from John King, who is the Education Secretary under Obama Biden, says that that says that we can do this. We passed it during the Barack's times. Joe can do it. Wow. Meantime, as we look at a lot of situations across the floor, stagflation, recession, and interest rates, what's going on with crypto today? Crypto continues to fall, down 5%, the price of Bitcoin to 41,000. This is the lowest level since we've seen of March 21st, 2022. Crypto has gone literally flat in recent months. That's really why I've not been covering crypto, because it's sort of a flat investment. It doesn't really go up. It doesn't go down. It's just sort of flat. Bitcoin and traditional markets have continued to respond negatively to expectations the U.S. Fed will tighten monetary policy, says a research analyst at Kaito named Riyadh Carey. The war in Ukraine continues to drag on the cryptocurrency market. Wow. And now, my focus today. My focus today are those big checks. What's important to understand is that you need to laser focus on money and not pass up money. Passing up money, meaning leaving money on the table, meaning not grabbing it, not taking it, is one of the worst things a person can do in an environment such as where we are right now. It's bad to do an environment in which we were earlier this year, where the economy is more robust. But when someone says, what about another stimulus package? What about something else that's not law? And wants to pass up, wants to not grab, wants to not cash big checks that are available right today, it shows a lack of focus, and it shows a scary downward spiral. These checks are available today, folks. You should do and you should have done every effort to get every single one of these checks. And I turn to Johnny's example, which I feature on this channel so many months. He got check C, but he didn't stop because he got 3 checks in 3 days, $45,000. By the end of this week, by the end of that week, he had reached out to 15 places, getting 7 approved, $80,000. You can't leave cash on the table. You cannot leave cash on the table. Every time that I see a viewer in the live chat that says something like, but when is the other check? Which other check? When is the other check from Build Back Better Act to become a law? I'd rather get that one than this one. Folks, this is not the ice cream store. This is not one of the ice cream store where you can choose pistachio versus rocky road that are right in front of you. The rocky road is not in front of you right now. The pistachio is available right in front of you right now. Delicious pistachio. Lots of pistachio. And if you can have the pistachio and put your feet up and enjoy it and have financial independence for your family, why would you pass it up? It shows a myopic approach to the situation. And along the myopic approach, some people have continued to really, strangely, change the facts. Let me say it a little more bluntly. To say, I don't want check A, B, and C. I want something from Build Back Better Act. Guess what they then do? They change what was the check in Build Back Better Act to make it look better than it ever was. To suddenly say, that's a lot better. The check was never that much, folks. Meantime, on social media, a lot of people are still tweeting. We purposed the $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds in the CR for a stimulus check. That CR passed, folks, a month ago. I've covered it on this channel. So do not spend your time tweeting to repurpose $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds. Those discretionary funds are the CR law. I mean, I covered that over a month ago. So we got to get caught up on the current situation today. It got to cash these big checks. Where are we going right now? Where are we going right now? Here's my economic forecast for you for today. 3rd stimulus, 4th stimulus, 5th stimulus, 6th stimulus, and 7th stimulus all overlapping. Third is paying out MSC checks. Fourth is paying out check A and B. Fifth, really not on track at the moment. Now, the part of fifth is that SS300. That all Joe needs to do is swap COLA for inflation by making a phone call to Social Security Administrator head. The remaining parts of his stimulus, which are removing the asset cap and the income cap and the marriage penalty, needs a law. They need a bill. They need a recall for that. Not set up yet. Sixth stimulus supposed to happen right now. I got to tell you. In my opinion, as I look at the landscape, I just sort of think to myself, what are you doing? What are you doing, White House? Because you got a lot to fix in that sixth stimulus. The oil, the wheat, the grain. And there really is sort of like no effort to fix these things in six stimulus with any sense of urgency. I would be sweating in my lobster shorts if I saw the inflation rates growing as they're growing right now. I would be sweating when I see the yield inversion curve happening. I would be sweating with all this economic data getting worse by the day, by the minute, when we're looking at recession, inflation, stagflation, supply chain. I would be sweating. And I don't see that sweating happening at the White House. It causes me a little bit of concern because I don't know what's going on. Do they think it's going to float away? It's not. So the last time I saw something like this that I slightly remember was when George Bush Jr. went down badly in that re-election bid campaign. He went down badly because Clinton said it's economy. It's economy. You need to focus on this economy right now. And as we enter now, maybe mid-April, in just a few days from now, we're about 30 days away, well, less than 15 days away, from signaling whether those recessionary pressures ease up. And now they're not easing up. Whether we call it war recession, whether we call it stagflation, whether we call it recession, the two industries at issue tonight are the auto and the home. The housing industry is definitely in recession right now, in my opinion, in a major bubble. That's going to be the worst you've seen of a generation. And the auto industry also in a major bubble. They had it really too good last year. The auto industry sticking to purchasers putting $10,000 on MSC prices. Now they have a lot of cars. Now they can't produce cars. Now they have a manufacturing supply chain shortage. Major problems across the board. It's going to proliferate, this recession, where it spreads across other industries. Why do I tell you good and bad? I tell you good and bad because I love you and I want you to get all these checks. As a loving community, we cash checks. We cash every check that's available in front of you. Don't sit back and think about the future. Because in days like this, where we don't even know if China's going to go on a complete 100% lockdown in less than 30 days from now. We don't know if 90 days from now the United States can go back on a lockdown or have a tightening of COVID restrictions. These are changing landscapes where there's so many moving parts. This is not 2020. You could easily see it's this and that, or 2021 it's this and that. We have a recession that's unlike any recession. We have inflation that is potentially not solved by interest rates, and a Fed that's doing potentially the wrong thing. It's a very, very fluid situation. And as a fluid situation, the best that you can do is cash every single check that's available. You literally cash the check. And if you don't cash the check, you're setting yourself up for a bad Q3 or Q4 this year. Get that $6,500 check, get that second check, that B check, get that C check. How do you get it? Become a member right today. Get that membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Central Time via the YouTube alert system. Coming up tonight on Evenings LA at 5 o'clock, we got a big show. Brand new show for April 11th, 2022. I look forward to seeing you then. Stay informed, stay focused, become a member, and stay with LA for more.